Hey, everybody, we're here. Free agent frenzy, and I got the go. Sorry about the delay. Some technical issues, but it wasn't for me and Doug Maclean, I can tell you that. We were here. We were ready to go. Jordan, we're all set, pal. Joe, I know you're out there. Thanks for sticking with us. We are up and running, and I don't know if we're going to call it a frenzy out of the gate. Wayne Simmons signs a one-year deal with the Toronto Maple Leafs, $1.5 million. He gets a no-move clause. I think at this point, Mac, I'm not sure if he'll ever need it or the Leafs would use it because
that's so that he can sign a lease on a condo and doesn't have to be concerned about breaking his lease. That's got to be the only reason he's got a no movement.
Mac, I'm sitting here going, Pietrangelo, Krug, Hall. Where are those names out of the gate? We would have seen them in the past, but something tells me it's a little different this time around on Free Agent Friday here in a pandemic. Listen, Wayne Simmons had a terrific career, but when we've watched him in the last few years in Nashville, New Jersey, Buffalo, is there anything to suggest he's got anything left in the tank?
Well, you know what? What really bothered me is when he ended up in Nashville, and I don't know that he got a point. When in his time in Nashville, playing on the power play in the playoffs. I mean, it didn't work. To me, I don't know. Can he play in this game? Yeah, he's got a little toughness, but I don't like this signing. I'm sorry. I know everybody's been talking Wayne Simmons for 2 years, but if they would have got him 2 years or 3 years ago, yeah, not today. I don't like it for Toronto.
Well, there seems to be a desperate need for the Toronto Maple Leafs to get tougher and be harder to play against. Kyle Dubas has made that abundantly clear in his comments to the media, yet he goes out and he drafts a lot of players that average 5'11" and 170 pounds. Some things don't jive here, Mac, in terms of.
Well, I don't know what happened with the mandate, with the going to be harder to play against, and then you turn around and all you do is draft a bunch of little guys. Why come out and say it and then do that? And I understand it. They're 3 or 4 years away. I understand that. But again, it was back to, well, this guy drives possession numbers and that guy drives possession numbers. Come on. Like, it's time to put up with the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's time to show that they are going to try to bring in playoff type guys. I'm sorry. It's time. And instead of talking about it, I'd like to see something done about it. And I know it's not easy. I get all that. But we talked about in their Fix the Leafs segment about they have to redo their third line. It's not good enough. It's not tough enough to play against their fourth line and a couple of right-hand defensemen. So we'll see what they do today and over the next little while.
Yeah, and we're going to be around for the next little while. Nick Kypreos here with Doug Maclean. You're watching and listening to the Real Kyper at Noon show, live stream, and this is what it's all about. So the news hopefully will come in. It'll filter in, and we'll have lots of thought on anything that happens, goes down, opinions. We'll give you our take, our honest opinions that at times might be difficult to do on different airwaves. So we're going to have some fun here. Thanks for joining us. Mac, where do we start with the big fish out there? And I got to be honest with you, when it comes to Alex Pietrangelo, I'm one of those that thought, okay, he's going to stay. He's going to stay. Yeah. We talked about 8x8 being on the table, $64 million. The thought of losing the ability to sign the 8th year causes the AAV to go up, and that's where essentially we're at. And so much talk about Vegas making room. Stasny's money's off the table. I tweeted last night that it was a fourth rounder involved, but getting $6.5 million off the table for Vegas is absolutely huge if and when they sign Alex Pietrangelo.
Yeah, I look, I mean, It looks like he probably will be going to Vegas by the look of it. That's been the talk. We know there's a connection there, through, McCrimmon and his agents. I think it happens probably with the Stasny deal. They tried to get Fleury's money out. It didn't happen. Stasny's is a big deal. I guess it makes sense for Winnipeg to take him on a one-year deal. They desperately need a number 2 centerman. A ton of people this morning that watched Stasny. We watched him a fair amount. He did not have a good year. He did not look good there. He looked slow. I hope it works out for Winnipeg. I hope if Laine stays, it's a good combination for him. But look, it looks to me like is it St. Louis? I mean, I can't believe I hear Columbus in the mix. Come on. How is Columbus in the mix when they got Joe? Pietrangelo is going to go and be the number 2 right side guy. So we'll see. We'll see. I think it's Vegas. I really do.
You do. Well, and the inner circles tell me, Mac, that St. Louis is still wild over Vegas's constant talk about Pietrangelo. I don't know whether or not we'll see anything filed formally on tampering, but there is a strong suggestion from people that I talk to that St. Louis is absolutely going bonkers over Vegas's involvement with Pietrangelo prior to 12 Eastern today.
Well, and does that cause it to delay a couple of days? We heard Pietrangelo say he may visit a few teams. Is this a way to calm the waters? I don't know, but I'll tell you what, Vegas, you know what? This is not junior hockey. And you know what? This is the messages that are coming out of there from Fleury to Stasny to this. I mean, I'm sorry. It doesn't, they may end up getting them and they probably will, but there was such positive vibes coming out of Vegas the first couple of years. And right now it seems like there's some aggravation around that organization. So it'll be fun to watch, see what they do.
Yeah, a lot of people wondering if loyalty is an issue in that organization.
Well, it's obviously with the Fleury situation, it's jumped to the forefront. So, you know what? There's loyalty there. Kelly McCrimmon is loyal to guys that played in Brandon and guys that he knows from the Western League. So, you know what? We'll see. But like I said, it's not junior hockey.
Okay, the other big name is Taylor Hall. If we look at who's representing him, Darren Ferris, he had a heck of a day yesterday. Trades 2 clients for each other, and that is Max Domi and Josh Anderson, and then he goes and signs them to collectively $50 million, Mac. That's a pretty good couple of days for Darren Ferris, but he also has Taylor Hall. So where do you want to go? You want to talk a little bit about Josh Anderson in Montreal and signing a 38.5 7-year deal, or do you want to talk a little bit about Taylor Hall's availability now?
Well, first, just quickly on Josh Anderson. Look, this guy has been injured for how long? We know he had a contract dispute, a year and a half, 2 years ago in Columbus. It didn't go well. He ended up having to stay there, so you knew there was a disgruntled player. He's been injured nonstop. I don't get a 7-year deal. Like, $5 million. I understand that, but where are they coming? And we know they need size on the wing. We've talked about they need size on the wing. They need some first line players for me. I like Suzuki. I like Kokaniemi, Tatar, Gallagher. To me, they're number 2 guys now. They're second line guys for me. But this guy to me is a second, third guy. And I love the size. I love the strength. I love the toughness he brings. But where do you go on a 7-year deal? How does that make sense?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I've questioned over the years with Marc Bergevin, general manager of Montreal, but I like this move, and I'm okay with the contract.
7 years. You're okay with 7 years?
I am okay. It's a gamble for Bergevin to take. Let's face it, if this goes south on him, he's done anyways. So I think you nailed it. The only question is, Mac, is can he stay healthy? And if he does, it's a great deal for the Montreal Canadiens. If he doesn't, then it's Bergevin's ball's on the line and he'll get fired for it. But he's at that point of his career where he has to take this chance. Mac, free agents do not go to Montreal. They just don't.
No,
And
it's been a
if
challenge.
he goes to UFA after next year, they're not going to get a crack at him. So
I understand that, but do you have to give him 7?
yes, you do have to give him 7. You do, or else he's not signing there. And that's the going rate. Those players, Mac, and even if you call him a poor man's Tom Wilson, they don't exist. They're not out there. A guy like that size, the ability to shoot the puck, go hard to the net, fight, hit, they're just not out there. So when you get an opportunity, even if you got to add an extra year or two, the 5.5 isn't that bad.
No,
I don't think it's that bad.
I'm okay with the 5.5. I'm sure as hell not okay with 7, but that's fine. They give Domi 2 years. That takes him to becoming an unrestricted free agent. They'll take their chances on that. I mean, I guess, I just don't understand the 7. It's fine. Do what you want. I know they need I know they need that type of player, but I'll tell you what, I'd be nervous about his health. I know he's been out. I get all that, but I mean, he's been like a China doll the last couple of years.
Well, that's the issue. That's the issue. And the other issue is you can go and score 1 or 2 goals in 20 games in Columbus and Carolina, and nobody gives a shit. Nobody.
Yeah, exactly.
You go to Montreal and you're making 5.5. It'll be a lot harder for a guy like Josh Anderson to have 1 or 2 goals in 20 games. And that's the only thing he's going to have to really worry about is that type of scrutiny and pressure that he's never seen in his life.
I hope they're right. I hope he's 100% healthy. I like the player. There's no doubt about that. But I don't get the 7. So we'll see. Let's see what happens,
Okay,
So,
anything filtering in? I got Michael Bannock Jr. here keeping an eye on stuff for me. I hear Bobby Ryan. Did he sign a 1-year deal with Detroit? And that is confirmed.
Yeah, good.
So clearly it's buy time for a lot of clubs. By some a stopgap. Whether or not you're talking about Stasny in Winnipeg for 1 year at 6.5 while they get Cole Perfetti ready to take on a top 2-3 centerman position for the Winnipeg Jets. It's about buying time right now. Bobby Ryan will do that in Detroit. No expectations there to be any good.
And I don't mind that. I mean, I don't mind it. I mean, they got a bunch of young guys there. They want to be a little bit more competitive. So I don't have a problem with that. They've got to get to the floor, I guess. I'm not sure if they're there yet, but I mean, it's an okay deal. I'm interested in Torrey Krug, to be quite honest. Where does he end up? Boston can't seem right now to get it done. Detroit seems to be a destination.
Yeah.
Florida, is Florida a destination for Torrey Krug? So you know what?
Boston feel like they've given him a really fair deal.
Right.
More money than Brad Marchand, who's at 6'1", 6.2.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Does he feel like he can get $7 million somewhere else? Is 6.5, 6.75 just not getting it done for Torrey Krug?
Right. And I know that Detroit they played at college there from the area. I get all that, but I mean, this is a team that's not going to be competitive for 2 or 3 more years. Is that what Torrey Krug's looking for at 29 years of age? Does he not want to contend for a cup? So he's a guy to watch out there because with Ekman Larson staying apparently in Arizona, he becomes a premier right-hand or left-hand defenseman that could be available or is available. So we'll see where he goes.
Nick Kypreos, Doug Maclean talking NHL Free Agent Day on this Friday. A couple trickling in. I think Luke Schenn resigns in Tampa Bay. Malcolm Subban, I believe, re-upped in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah,
those
2-year
are
deal.
that's house cleaning for a lot of clubs. Interesting in Tampa Bay, Tyler Johnson on waivers. He's got 4 more years left at $20 million. I'm sure they've tried like heck to trade that contract. He's got a no trade. So you probably get the sense that he wasn't very cooperative, Mac. Is
Well,
that
yeah. So because it's a no trade, he can in fact be put on waivers. So there's minimal. There's under 4 million actual dollars on the contract. The cap hit is over 5. We know that. There's a lot of years on it. So are they able to have the team that he wouldn't go to, that he wouldn't waive to go to? Can they pick him up on waivers now and then try to work out a deal to have him there?
Yeah, Pat Maroon as well, going back to Tampa Bay Lightning on a 2-year deal.
So what they're signing their cheap guys. I mean, they've got some kids. They've got Foote and Alex Green in the that they just Foote's been there 2 years, a defenseman. Alex Green, a right-hand defenseman coming out of Cornell, just signed a cap deal with Tampa. They're biding a little time with Luke Shen on a cheap deal. It makes sense. Maroon, to me, the same thing. It's a cheap deal.
900,000.
Yeah, and he's won a couple of cups. He played a good role for them.
Mac, it's great.
I like it.
It's great beer money. It's just, you know.
Yeah,
$800K for Shen as well. I mean, you said this yesterday, Kip. You said that they're gonna put up or when we were talking to the head of Octagon Hockey, that's a little tease. But you said you're gonna put up the line. You're gonna say $800K. Who wants it?
Yes.
Who's interested? Who wants my my little scraps here, right?
And that's exactly what's happening here. And we had a great chat with Mike Liut from Octagon that'll be up real soon as well. Colby Armstrong also talked a lot about free agency. Look forward to that as well. And
oh my God, I thought you were going to say that Leafs were bringing Colby Armstrong in for toughness.
Well, they did. They did. And unfortunately for Colby, it didn't work out too well. He got hurt a lot. There was a lot of mileage already, I think, on that body. Yeah, I think he broke his leg. I think he had tendon issues in his hand.
Oh, God.
And now they're hoping Wayne Simmons can do what maybe Colby couldn't have done way back then.
Yeah. Well, anyway, look, it's so, I mean, I don't mind, some of the things, but anyway, we'll see.
Okay.
I'm very anxious to watch how the Leafs really load up on these guys. As a noted columnist said today, isn't every team in the league trying to find guys that are hard to play against? Isn't that one of your goals? Is this a new thing?
Just, it's amazing that the light switch went off for Kyle Dubas and the Leafs, that they now understand what others have been talking years about. But all kidding aside,
I think his old coach talked about that a bit once in a while too.
A little bit. There've been a few employees there.
Yeah. Anyway, good luck.
Goal scoring. What was that just came in? Yeah, we've got that one. Yeah, we got that one already. And now we look at bona fide goal scorers out there. There's a few. I don't know how many in terms of you want to classify, but at the top of the list has to be Taylor Hall. My understanding is that he's on Zoom calls as we speak. They had, I think, planned about 8 or 9 for each team. Now, if it goes like anything like the 2nd to the 7th round of the draft, I don't think Taylor Hall will sign until probably late November.
So, I don't know.
So, how much of a demand?
Columbus cleaned up a lot of money, 11.3 million Columbus cleaned up yesterday with making a couple of buyout and the trades, with Nuttaveri out of there, with Murray out of there, and obviously with Wenberg out of there. Yeah. So, they're looking to make a big splash. Well, it can't be Pietrangelo. I mean, that doesn't make sense with Seth Jones there, unless they're moving Seth Jones. I mean, and where does Line come in here?
Yeah.
We know that they'd love to get Line.
I don't.
Why did they clear up 11.3 if they're not going to make a big splash.
And some are.
And I
even...
don't mean Gudas. I know Gudas went to Florida. Joe just mentioned, but
yeah.
I wasn't talking. It's a big splash, Gudas. He's a big, heavy body going into a pool, but that ain't a big splash. Sorry.
When we talk about possibly Columbus for Taylor Hall, there does seem to be a sense that he's less of a structured player as others that might be available or typical goal scorers. But Mac, there is a sense that you do need one or two guys that can just kind of, just have the freedom to go out there and kind of do their own thing. Taylor Hall, Columbus may be a type of team that could give Taylor Hall that type of freedom. That's how desperate they are for goal scoring.
Taylor Hall is got to figure this out real fast. We know he's a Hart Trophy winner in Jersey. Arizona is not easy to go and excel. I mean, I guess you say, go there, put him with the big centerman, and you've got a chance to score some goals. I mean, I'd be nervous on his term. I really would be. Taylor Hall brings lots. If you put him with the Dubois, all of a sudden you've got a legit number one line versus having an Atkinson there who's in and out. I mean, look, I don't mind that move for Columbus. I really don't. If he goes there, Torts will make him pay a price. And you know what? But I still think it's not a bad move. If they can't get Line A, if you can't get Line A, and I guarantee you they tried to get him, then this makes a little bit of sense.
Well, I got to think that they still should be in the Patrick Line A. There's a lot of people that think that because Stasny's now in Winnipeg that'll buy Line A another year. But Mac, it's really the inevitable for Winnipeg with Patrick Line A because he's ARB. He'll go to ARB after next year. And some are talking about that number could be as high as $9 million on an ARB award.
Right, but I don't mind them buying a year here, Kip. I really look. They get DeMello done in the back end. Do they find another reasonably priced defenseman to come in, and it buys them time to take a run here?
The only problem is,
take a run.
I know, but the only problem is every time you get this guy a little bit closer to unrestricted free agency, the value of the trade goes down.
I know.
And I got to think right now the trade value sucks right now. But there isn't a lot of people spending a ton to take Patrick Laine off your hands.
Let's be serious here. If you're trying to if you try to trade for him with Columbus.
Yes.
I mean, there's no way you're moving Line A to Columbus unless it's Jones or Werenski's in the conversation.
Well, that's not happening. That's not happening.
It's not happening. But I'm saying, how do Columbus make a deal for him? You're going to give up 3 or 4 players, but that's not what Winnipeg need. Winnipeg need a top. They need a Werenski, or a Jones in the conversation. So how do you make that work?
Or Savard?
Not Savard to me. I like Savard, but Savard's a number 4 guy or 5 guy.
But that's all you may get.
That's right. But I'm saying, like, you're going to trade Line A in a deal that includes Savard and
a draft pick and a prospect.
Yeah, I still don't think. I mean, Winnipeg need a big fish back. They're supposed to be contenders. You can't trade Line A for a draft pick right now. You've got to trade them for somebody you just lost to Calgary in the first round. You've got to take a chance here to make a little bit of a run. So I don't see them being able to do the Line A to Columbus unless there's a big names. Now, I may be wrong. Maybe they're that desperate to move them, but I sure as hell wouldn't be removing them unless it was a big name coming back.
All right. Other goal scorers out there, Mike Hoffman, Dandanov from Florida. I like him as a top 6 guy, power play, can play in different situations. And then there's Anthony Duclair, who had 23 goals, Mac. And I'm listening to Anthony talk about representing himself.
Seriously.
Especially in this environment. And I'm like, buddy, don't do it. That's crazy. It's just crazy now to
Give
go
your head a
pick up
shake.
the phone, call up general managers and say, hey, I want you to be my sixth team in my career. It just doesn't bode well for him.
Can you ask Michael, your assistant there, how many goals did this guy score in the last month of the season last year?
Mac,
Like one?
no, two, maybe three in the last 20 plus games.
This is a bad environment. This is an environment where some big boys are going to hit home runs. Some big boys, a handful maybe. It's going to be a Markstrom. It's going to be 3 or 4 Pietrangelo. Maybe the big guys. But come on, you're Anthony Duclair. You had a good run in Ottawa. Sign with Ottawa so fast your head will spin instead of going out and trying. What's he worth? Does he think he's worth $4 million? Does he think he's worth $5 million? If he can get $3 million, he should sign.
Well, and Mac, for many of these,
am I wrong?
Yeah.
If he can get $6 million, he should sign.
No.
So fast his head will spin.
I honestly, usually it's about money and term. Right now, it's about job security, man. It's musical chairs. Do not get caught without a chair, okay? Because that's what's happening right now, with the exclusion of the big boys.
So that's why Duclair is. I thought he was a decent fit in Ottawa, a young team. They need some veteran help there. I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't get a deal done. I guarantee you he's going to try. This can't be over with Ottawa. He's not that dumb.
Well, there's no question. Maybe he even needs to go out there and make 1 or 2 calls, and then figure it out real quick and go back to Ottawa and say, I'll take a 1 or 2 year deal for $6 million right now. I think that would be a hell of a deal for him.
Big time. So I hope.
You're not getting 4 or 5. You're not.
I'm not an agent, Anthony, but phone me and I'll take. You can give me a couple of points and I'll get it done. Seriously. I need to help pay. I need to help pay for my upcoming 5-week RV trip. Phone me, Anthony. I'll get you a deal done this afternoon, and you can give me a couple. Forget about the 3 or 4 points. Give me a couple points, and I'll get it done for you.
Would a couple points fill up your gas in that RV?
By the way, if you want to buy, just a little more news outside the hockey world, if you want to buy an RV today, a new RV, it's a 1.5 year wait.
So you actually are one of the few people that could drive something off a lot and have the price go up.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's booming right now. Now, the downside is when I go to trade it, there'll be a glut on the market in a couple of years. So that's okay.
That's what they'll tell you. All right. So Gudas to Florida for around $2.5 million. Mac, it almost suggests that the system now is just squeezing those $2, $3, $4 million players out. I guess when you're a right-handed shot on the blue line, it buys you a little bit more leeway, but we're not seeing. We're really going to see the middleman squeezed right out of this thing.
Yeah, we've been watching it for a few years. You've got to be a special middleman to not get squeezed out. And there's a few of them. And like let me tell you, if you're a middle guy that plays a certain way, you should be able to get a good contract with Toronto, because those middle guys are real important at playoff time. But you've got to be a special middle guy, not a run-of-the-middle guy, a run-of-the-mill middle guy, So.
Yep. Okay, so let's focus on the goaltending market a little bit. Markstrom's the number one guy, clear cut. Where I heard last night, Mac, that Edmonton was prepared to go all 7 years available with a 5 AAV. There's also some that suggested to me that Calgary would go 6 times 6. There's also the Minnesota Wild here that clearly have made it abundantly noticeable that they want a number one goalie. I had heard Fleury on their list. I had heard Holtby as a target guy, and the wish list, of course, would have been Markstrom as well. But how do you see some of this shaping up?
I was told this morning that it's going to shock me where Markstrom signs. It's going to shock me, and it's not Calgary and it's not Edmonton. I don't know if it's the truth. I'm just telling you what I heard. Who the hell is shocking me?
Well, everybody needs
Florida.
a goalie.
We know it's not Florida because they got goalie Bob there. I mean, who's looking for a goalie other than Edmonton and Calgary? You mentioned
Carolina would be shocking. With that
Carolina
owner,
would be shocking. Now, is that true? Like, it looks like he's not back in Vancouver. It looks like that. And we thought, but I hear it's not Edmonton or Calgary that's going to get this guy. So who is it? I don't know. But when somebody tells me I'll be shocked by it, that would indicate it's like a Carolina, maybe a Minnesota. But I hear Minnesota. Mike Russo is reporting that Talbot's their guy in Minnesota. I like Talbot. I'd be a little nervous to think
I don't know.
He's a bona fide. I mean,
I don't
Cam's
know
a good goalie, but he's hot and cold. And
God,
so
you look at all these goaltenders available, and a lot of them age 33 to 38, Mac. A lot of these guys are going to be out of the league in 2 years, right?
Yeah.
I just don't. And I like Talbot, and I thought he did a pretty good job in the bubble, considering.
Real good job.
But between him and Hudobin, and, Hudobin couldn't come to terms with Dallas, Mac. And is he now negotiating as if he's a bona fide number one NHL starter? Because that to me would just be a non-starter for me if I'm an NHL hockey team.
Well, look, I think he's right now. He's a tweener. I think he's a guy that is a real good backup and a guy that an average to below average team would consider for number one. Like if you're New Jersey, I mean, is he not a good guy to go in with Mackenzie Blackwood? I think that's the sort of scene I think he could fit into. Does he go into Minnesota with Stalock? And can he be a decent 1B? I don't mind that. Detroit, I think there's some of those situations that he is a better fit. I don't see him as a fit with a contending team. That's basically where I am. Am I wrong on that?
Yeah, I think so. And, maybe Hudobin's a good stopgap until you get Demko ready if Markstrom leaves Vancouver. And Mac,
if I told you, go ahead.
I was just going to say it isn't necessarily for Vancouver even this year, but next year when you got to start dipping into Hughes and Patterson, right? When you start now looking at needing to pay those guys, 10, 11. I mean, that's where the Vancouver Canucks focus with their money has to be 100%. On those two star players.
So do you give Hudobin's going to end up in Vancouver, in my opinion. Hudobin ends up there. Are you going to give him $4 million? Are you kidding me?
You know what?
I love him. I love what he did this year.
Maybe on a 2-year deal.
Then that's okay. That's okay, right? With the idea. Yeah.
4 times 2 would be okay.
Or 3 times 3 or times 2. I don't care. To me, I know he was fabulous in Dallas. I know he's been a good backup. But to me, he's a backup and he's a great fit. He's a great fit with Demko. But I ain't putting him on big money and I'm not giving him big term.
Well,
why would he leave Dallas when he's got Bishop, who's hurt all the time, and he has a chance to have an important role there? Obviously, Dallas wouldn't pay him what he wanted, but I like the Demko Hudobin, but I like him as a backup.
Yeah.
And I like Talbot, but I like Talbot as a backup. there's a lot. If you're going to go after somebody, go after a Holtby or go after Markstrom to get a real goal. Who else is a bona fide number one besides Holtby and Markstrom right now that you would feel good about challenging to win a Stanley Cup? Tell me.
Yeah, I don't think he exists right now. I
Right,
don't.
so-
I think that you're looking at a lot of Band-Aids. That's what
So
you're
if-
looking at,
if-
right?
if
Including
Edmonton-
Lundqvist thinks that maybe he can go into Washington and take that job over the prospect Samsonov. But
maybe. Maybe.
Corey Crawford, but Corey is what,
No.
35 years of age?
Right. And he hasn't
hurt.
played. He hasn't played in the cup. I mean, he was so good in the playoffs. He was so good against Edmonton. But you're not taking Corey Crawford to win a Stanley Cup. You're taking Corey Crawford to be a backup in a really tight scheduled season like we're going to have this year that he can fill in and give you some good games. That's what you're looking for. But if if Calgary or Edmonton don't get Markstrom, it's got to be a fight to get Holtby, in my opinion. It's got to be.
I gotta think that when you watch, I think things play out for the goaltenders, then at some point someone's going to want to revisit Marc-Andre Fleury for 2 years, Mac.
Yeah.
And if I'm able to get Vegas to eat some cash, which we think that they can, then how does Marc-Andre Fleury not look attractive at, I don't know, 4 million times 2? Come on.
Well, if you can get Vegas to eat some money, you got to, he moves into the mix. The 7 million times 2 is the challenge here. But if Vegas eats some of this money and, get this problem off their plate that they've, by the way, created, then all of a sudden Fleury falls into the mix as a short-term guy, He's to me, he's a 2 year. He's got a 2 year window here. His contract, and if you get him for 3.5, 4, I jump all over him.
Seems like we saw a little bit of the action, and between me and you and our fans out there, Mac, how much gets done the day before? I know,
I was just looking here. We're getting a ton of fans all of a sudden. Have you noticed that, Nick?
Mac, it's you, man. It's not even me. It's you.
I don't know what the hell it is.
Hey,
Gee,
how much, Mac? How much tampering? How much work is done before? Now there was no window, Mac. This was the 1 year that there was no window, no prep, no early chance to interview or Zoom call or anything. The rules were no contact until 12 p.m. Eastern. How much of that was a load of crap in your days, and how much tampering really went on?
Well, I never did it, but there was a load of it.
Easy, Pinocchio.
There's no Are you kidding? I can't imagine the calls that have been going on for like a month here. Like, enough already. I mean, it's such BS. But if you get caught and you get charged and they start to dig in, there's lots of people that will sing. And and I know there's a lot of teams that, like, this time of year, you really get pissed off because you hear it. You hear who's snooping.
Yeah. So for a team like St. Louis to go after Vegas, you would think that they would have hard evidence.
Well, you would certainly, if you're going to do it, it's one thing to phone Bill Daly and the NHL and say, I believe there's tampering. It's another thing to phone Bill Daly and Gary Bettman and said, I'm going to charge them with tampering. I'm going to charge them. If you're going to do that, you're sending a message or you've got hard evidence. And this year is a year that I've heard it. I know there was a few teams, I've heard through the grapevine, there's a few teams upset with what's been going on. So we shall see. It hasn't happened very much over the years. We still think of the Scott Stevens thing with New Jersey and St. Louis, where it cost them 5 first-round picks.
Yeah.
If you I got threatened to be charged when I was in Columbus by Tampa Bay and Rick Dudley. It was bullshit, by the way. I wasn't tampering with the guy they thought I was, and I wasn't even tampering with Tampa. I was tampering with another team who never knew. But they said it was, but it bothered me to no end because
they got they didn't have their facts straight.
Bill Daly phoned me and said, and I said, yeah, right, but that ain't true. But anyway, I didn't like it. It was uncomfortable.
We also hear news out of Dallas that Rick Bowness will be back. Yeah, nothing earth-shattering there, but just seemed like no one was really in a hurry on this.
I had heard rumblings for 3 months that Rick was not going to be back there, and I'm a little surprised. I'm thrilled for him. I'm very happy for him that he's got a chance to finish out his career as head coach. But I'd heard rumblings that he was not going to go back. So I'm glad. I'm glad for him. I know that Gerard Gallant would have been a choice there if Rick would have decided not to go back there. Rick and Gerard are good friends. And I know that there was a little bit of conversation there. So look, I'm glad for Rick. And now that Gerard will have to wait for the next job. So Dallas is a good job. And how do you blame Rick Bowness he hasn't had a head coaching job in 20 years, in that range. And he's been a loyal assistant, and he gets a chance to be with a contending team. Why wouldn't he jump all over that? I'm glad for him.
Speaking of some final news, we have it's been prognosticated about, but we have a new Monarch. He's coming to DC. Lundqvist signs with the Capitals, 1-year deal.
Yeah, there was lots of talk.
Hey, Jordan, the Beatles broke up too, eh?
Hey, well, it's official now. I mean, do you want to? You said, hey, they got it wrong. They called me, man. They said I tampered. I didn't. They had the wrong guy.
It's finalized now. It's finalized.
We're trying to get
finalized here.
We're bringing the facts.
It's official. It is official. A lot of people saying if he couldn't put on a Ranger uniform that he was done. I'm not sure the Rangers will be too happy that he's so close, Mac.
Well, his kids can commute to private school probably from DC they can get down and see him play on the weekends. Short train trip. It makes sense for Lundqvist. I mean, why would you go to Vegas where there was some rumblings he might be going as the backup? There was some rumblings that he might go to Vegas. I'm thinking like, Hank, unless you want to gamble, I mean, from a family perspective, doesn't it make sense to go to DC? Still a contender.
Best schedules.
Yeah,
easy schedules, easy travel.
I think it's a great move. I think it's a smart move for him, and I think it's a good move for Washington.
Now, we can talk about Lundqvist the way we talked off the top of the show about Wayne Simmons. How much is left? What are you really getting here? We know off the ice these guys will be model citizens, and they're well-liked and well-respected people, but can they still bring it? Lundqvist, we saw, he was capable of staying in a hockey game in the bubble, but when it really came down to it, we didn't see the brilliance that we saw throughout his career. It's gone, Mac.
Yeah, I think he's I think it will be a good role there as a backup. This is going to be a different season, a different schedule where you're going to need a backup. I think he will be re-energized here. No, he's not the same Hank, but I still think he's better than a lot of backups in the league. So we shall see,
All right. I think the danger, or at least the thought process was that, if we don't hear big names early with their decisions, then, this has a chance for maybe Pietrangelo or even Taylor Hall to go well into the weekend, if not, down the road here. But, when you factor in the great unknown, Mac, and that is, when are we playing again? How much against the clock are teams really, really feeling?
Well, if you're Edmonton and Calgary and a few of these players, you're feeling something. You've got to improve your team. If you're the Leafs, you're feeling something an urgency to do something. No, the difference for the Leafs is they're not looking for a high-end forward. They're looking to plug some holes with certain type of players. But they still need to fix the right side of their blue line. There's pressure. So there's pressure on teams to fix certain areas. Calgary have got to fix their right side of their blue line. I know Anderson moves up, but they still need some help on the right side. So there is some pressure on some teams to improve, and there's no rush because it's going to be a signing season that may extend a little longer because money's so tight. But now we're hearing that, as we mentioned, Calgary and then maybe Calgary, Edmonton, and maybe Ian Holtby. So where is Markstrom? Where the hell is Waldo going here?
He's going to your surprise team.
Yeah, I know. We'll see.
There's also talk out of Calgary and Boston about Hanifin.
Yeah.
And Hanifin would be a poor man's replacement to Krug. Is that all that would mean? And the name we hear is Sean Kuraly, a name that's kind of, that you might have some insight on.
Well, you know what? I could see Bruins thinking Hanifin as a poor man's Krug. I've never been a huge fan, but because of his Boston connection, college connection there, and I think they would feel that if they put him with a Carlo, it would be a reasonable pair there. Sean Kuraly's got 1 year left. He's sort of the guy I was talking about those middle guys that can be difference makers in playoff time. A big, strong guy that can skate. Calgary didn't redo Jankowski. Can you imagine a line with Bennett, Kuraly, Dubé as a playoff type line? And I know Lucic did a great job there, but that type of fit in Calgary makes sense. So that one might make sense. I haven't heard anything about that recently. I heard rumblings a couple of days ago about that, but I haven't heard anything. It seemed maybe it's cooled off. So, I can see that making a little bit of sense. So,
still hearing very much Calgary in the Markstrom. The number I've been told was 6 times 6, which maybe in many ways is better for him when you talk about the 7 times $5 million that maybe Edmonton is looking at paying him. But Mac, does that, as soon as he goes, does that open it up for everybody else to start scrambling? Because that's generally how it works, right? The dam has to break in the goaltending carousel.
Can you imagine the feeling in Tree Living's office and Kenny Holland's office right now if they're bidding to get Markstrom? If that's the case, and if that's true, that is folks called extreme pressure, because this is a guy, based on how he's performed the last couple of years, can make them into legitimate playoff type teams. I know Edmonton had a real good year and Calgary had a real good finish to the regular season, but never did we consider them contenders. If they get because of their goaltending mainly, if they get a bona fide number one, then that changes. And if you're those teams with the young players, i.e. McDavid and Draisaitl, you got to have better goaltending. Kenny's got to have better goaltending.
Yeah.
And Tree Living's got to have better goaltending. So it's an interesting one to watch.
I thought Kyle Dubas did a good job revisiting Frederik Andersen and doubling down on him as being their guy now again, because even though he's got 1 year left on his deal, you may walk him to unrestricted free agency. Again, when you take a look at that list, if you really go down that list, Mac, I see more quantity than I do quality. And Frederik Andersen is still a good goalie. Now, the only question is, how much can you improve that blue line today for him? Did you mention Wieger on the blue line?
I suspect what happened with Freddie is there was they couldn't drum up a lot of interest. I've got to believe that's why. I'm sure there was some conversation. By the way, Turris signs with the Oilers, and Cam Talbot is going to the Minnesota Wild. So that's a couple of interesting ones. But yeah, Mackenzie Wieger, right-hand shot, 6 foot, 212-pounder, former Halifax Moosehead. He's been a solid guy, number 5 guy. I could see the Leafs taking a chance on Mackenzie Wieger or a Matt Benning, who is the right price guy, is a right shot to come in and be in that 5-6 hole. So that's what you see sort of as a bottom type guys there.
Kyle Turris to Edmonton on a short-term deal. Get him re-engaged. Mac, once upon a time, he was such an important player for the Ottawa Senators.
Oh man,
can he bring it back here? As the game kind of passed him by?
Well, look, he can be a more of a depth guy at the right price, cheap price. I mean, they would have got him very reasonable. I don't have a problem with him being their number 3 guy. I really don't. By the way, Cam Talbot, 3 years, $11 million in mini. Boy, that's a commitment. That's a commitment to Cam Talbot at
just under $4 million
a year
for 3 years.
That's what a good playoff does.
Which is, I guess, it'll be great if he's your number 1 goalie, and if he's not, it's horrible.
It is horrible.
Is he a number 1? Can that guy? I look at Mini Mac, and on so many ways, they should just blow it up. They should just start. They're not allowed to. Apparently,
No.
the owner tells them we have to stay competitive. Cam Talbot could keep you competitive, but I'm not sure he's going to help you win anything.
Look, we looked a couple of years ago. They had 12 guys over 32 years of age on the Minnesota Wild. And it was like, are you kidding? And then Chuck gets fired and leaves there. And it was not a very good situation. And now they've tried to rebuild on the fly. Stahl goes. I mean, obviously, we've seen Koivu leave. Their goaltending, Dubnyk, they ship out. There's still something about the team you have a hard time getting excited about. You really do. Like, you watch them against Vancouver. They couldn't score to save their life. Big, physical, strong. So Talbot goes in, and I mean, to me, he's not a number 1. He's not a number 1. So he's a tweener for me. And I like Cam. I love Tam. My son played college hockey with him. He's a good kid. I'm proud of what he's accomplished, but I don't have him as a number 1 guy.
Well, my understanding
Obviously, he at $11 million for 3 years.
Well,
that's just an overpaid backup.
Or clearly they had conversations with Holtby, and clearly they didn't like the number or the ask.
I would think so. I would think so. So, I mean, this Holtby Markstrom thing is one of the most intriguing things of the day still for me, where this ends up going. And then you throw in your wingers, and that's really Pietrangelo. I guess he's going to take some time and do a tour. That'd be quite a tour. Where's he going?
I'm not sure what agent's sending out their client for any tour with what's going on in this marketplace.
I hope he's flying in a private jet or an RV. I hope it's either a recreational vehicle, RV, or it's a private jet if he's going on any sort of tour.
Well, so Kyle Turris signs a 2-year deal with the Edmonton Oilers.
At 167 or something?
167, Michael? 165. So
that's a third line guy, I guess. That's a decent price.
If he wants to stay in the league, it's about, again, he's one of those guys that, hey, if the music stops, you might find yourself without a chair here.
And look, he's got something to prove. Kyle's always been a good kid. I remember interviewing him for his draft in his draft year. I remember flying into Burnaby, BC to watch him play, and in the BC Junior League, and meeting with him. He's a wonderful guy. I'd like to see him get reestablished. I don't mind it for, like I say, to me, he's a third guy there.
He can score. I mean,
yeah.
We didn't necessarily see it in Nashville, but
not a bad move. I wouldn't be doing handstands over it, but maybe he'll find himself here, you know?
All right. Well over an hour now into free agent. Do we still call it a frenzy, Mac? Is it? Is it what you thought it'd be in the hour in?
I think we should rename it the free agent fiasco.
Don't tell me for 1 second teams are sitting there going, okay, are we even playing next year? There's got to be a few of them.
I think I'll, instead of racing home and turning on the TV, I think I'll just wait for the reports to come across the wire. There's nothing there's other than the goaltending thing here. I wish the hell they'd figure that out before we go. But, you know, I think that that's the only thing that's exciting me. And Taylor Hall and Pietrangelo, and nothing will surprise me.
Well, we know they're taking calls for Taylor Hall. As many as 8 to 10 teams were on a list to talk to him today. Mac, is it all about interviewing Taylor? Does Taylor interview the teams? What do you do now if you're a team on one of those Zoom calls? Do you come out with a hard offer right away? Like you're trying to beat other teams, correct?
Yeah, that's why, you know, Columbus, is that a fit for Taylor Hall? You know, Edmonton, New Jersey, Arizona. I mean, is that the fit for Taylor Hall at this stage in his career? Does he believe the Columbus Blue Jackets have a chance to win the Stanley Cup? We know Jeff Rimmer thinks they have a chance to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, but he's thought that for 20 years.
Yeah, since well, it wasn't 20. I didn't bring him till year 3.
Okay,
so last 17 years.
17.
I just, that's the question, and there's a lot of things you like about Columbus. As Rimmer said, if we would have got by Tampa, we would have won the cup. I said, yeah, but you didn't get by Tampa. You know, that happens.
And I do remember a feature we did on Sportsnet that was all about Doug Maclean and Adam Foote.
Yeah.
And that was a free agent signing.
That was a big one.
That was a big one. Now, that was obviously your biggest of your career.
Yeah, get an Adam Foote at that stage in his career to sign a 3-year deal at $4.7 million. Adam was anxious to come back near Toronto. Didn't want to go to Toronto. There was 12 teams that were after Adam Foote that year, and for whatever reason, we were able to convince him to come and be a leader and a mentor. I mean, he stayed. I left, and then it went a little south for him, but that was an exciting day, let me tell you, to sign Adam Foote. And it was a 3-year deal. And I offered him 4 years. I remember saying, look, I'll give you 4 years at 4.7. And he said, I only want 3.
Really?
I couldn't believe it, but that's exactly what he said to me. I only want 3 years, 4.7.
Yeah,
he could have got 5 from me that day. But I was shocked at that.
I was questioning just 3 years. You cheap bastard.
I know.
Just 3 years for a guy of his stature.
And it was him. It was he and Ricky Curran that were just saying, hey, we want to try this. And if it doesn't work out, I can still move on and go somewhere else. I've got to believe that was their rationale. But Ricky Curran and Adam Foote were, I'm telling you, talk about a treat on a pressure-packed 48 hours. I had our private jet, my own private jet, flying all over Hell's Half Acre, bringing him here.
And our producer back then was Bob Torrens, and he convinced you to let the cameras follow you and put you on the private plane and all of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Bobby T was really Foote's agent. Ricky Curran, Bobby T was really his agent. And still is.
I gotta feel sorry for a few of the players, and I talked about this with the draft a little bit, Mac, where you do miss out on that. You do miss out on being able to go to a city and see what they have to offer. And I don't think we're seeing many DVDs or videos being shipped. It's I know it's a different time, but it's kind of sad a little bit.
Yeah, it is. It used to be fun. I'll never forget. We had I was recruiting Todd Marshman from
Yeah.
Edmonton. He was a free agent. There was a ton of teams, and actually, we beat out the Rangers to get Todd that year. And we had the owner's private jet sitting on the runway at 8 a.m. in Connecticut or New Hampshire, wherever he was living at the time, ready to take him to Columbus. So Mr. McConnell's private jet really came in handy, man. Oh man. Anyway.
Well, now on the Real Kyper at Noon show, the private RV is going to come in handy.
Right. I'm excited about it. I'm excited. I got it loaded up. We're heading on the road Monday, so it'll be fun.
Nice. Okay, so we're going to maybe stick around for a little while longer, see if we can kind of get a few nuggets before we go off air here. Jordan, you want to take a couple of calls, maybe some comments that you could read for Mac or myself, with some people still watching closely to see if their favorite team ends up with a player that can obviously help them.
Sure. Got a good comment here from our friend Stephen Ellis, a regular contributor to linemovement.com. Basically talking about Holtby, and if that's what some backup goaltenders are getting, what's that number going to be that's scary? I got a couple more questions for you, but let's kick it off. What's the number for Holtby that you're walking away? You're saying no, thank you, have a great day.
I'll let Mac go to the number, but just in our previous conversations, I'll just pick up where we left off here. That I do believe that Holtby's still a bona fide number one goaltender, and we can go down that list, and there's a lot of 1Bs. I don't know what you want to call them. A good, solid backup, but not a real starter. I think what had happened is that for whatever reason, Holtby never felt like he got looked after they won the cup, and certainly played last year like he was kind of a dead man walking in Washington. So I think that played out in terms of the way he felt and played. And Mac, I just didn't see great energy out of Holtby. And, many ways, Washington fans feel the same way about Holtby as Ranger fans feel about Lundqvist. It's a hard parting of the way when you're talking about the most successful goaltender in franchise history.
And you think back about great goaltenders who have won Stanley Cups, like, how good was this guy? Like, this guy, the year they won the cup, had to be unbelievable. You think back to a couple of saves he made in that Vegas series, a couple of the saves he made, and whether it was over the years against Pittsburgh, he was outstanding. What kind of money does he come in at? You see the 5 times 5 for Leonard. Does Holtby's number start it's got to be 6? Is it start at 6, Nick, or is that push? I mean, I know the goalie market's dropped a touch. It's dropped a touch.
Yeah, I think that I do believe, Mac, that he would be prior to this mess.
Right.
I think his number was probably 7.5, 8.
I agree.
So how much of a discount does a pandemic and the fact that you've been in a bubble to finish the season come into play? It drops it. There's no question, but I think it's north of 6 that he still wants. It's that respectful number where he says, I want a cup, man. I carried a team. I carried a franchise. Yep. And go down the list. I don't see others that can say the same thing. That puts me ahead of Markstrom. It puts me ahead of Lundqvist. It puts me ahead of everybody. I won the cup. I did it.
Yeah. No, So, I mean, I would think 6, but just going to your owner right now and talking 6. But if you're going, it would be a lot easier going to Calgary's owner and Edmonton's owner than it would be going to some other teams. So, it will be fun to see where he lands. But to me, when I think I probably, would you take Markstrom ahead of it right now? I mean, based on the way Markstrom's played recently, the way Holtby's played this past year, I guess it's a toss-up.
Well,
but I might go Markstrom.
Well,
1A.
I think, people think that there's way more upside in Markstrom moving forward than there is Holtby. It's kind of strange to think that Holtby's been around forever and Markstrom's just this kind of new guy, and they're only 1 year apart. I think Holtby's 31 years of age, Mac. It's not like he's an old goaltender here. Right?
That's a shocker. Holtby to the Canucks. Yeah.
Well, there it is. There it is. Just as we're talking, there's some reports now that Holtby is signed with the Vancouver Canucks.
$4.3 million per year.
2 years at 4.3.
Yeah. You know what that is, Mac?
That's an unbelievable deal for.
And that's the bottom falling out on the market. That's what that is.
So speaking of the market, throughout the stream today, a lot of people have been curious. Some rumblings that the chat thinks that Doug's, most interesting player is Markstrom. Is that the player that you're the most interested in finding out where they're going to end up, Doug? And then Kyper, same question to you.
Well, look, it was three guys. It was Markstrom, and it was Taylor Hall and Laine. Pietrangelo, he's a big guy too, but Markstrom's the one guy, and I'll tell you why Markstrom was critical, because if you're not going to sign him in Vancouver because of the money, you sure as hell don't want him going to Calgary or Edmonton, two major rivals of your team. So now they get Holtby, it adds a little more to the intrigue here. So where does Markstrom end up? If my source is right this morning, then it's somebody that'll shock me. It shocks me that Holtby ends up there, but it's a good fit. 2-year deal, like seriously.
What does this do for the expansion now?
Well, they lose one or the other. They lose Holtby or they lose Demko, if in fact Seattle have interest in one of the two.
Well, Mac, you're not going to lose. You're not going to lose Demko now.
No, you're not.
That's your future. That's the guy that stood on his head,
and
in the bubble.
Maybe that's why Holtby
goes to
Seattle.
He goes to Vancouver just to kind of get himself ready for Seattle.
Could be because they're not giving up the kid. That's for sure. If he continues to develop the way he's developing.
Okay, I like it for Vancouver. I like it for Vancouver a lot, Mac, and I think it's a great number, and it sets them up. You're going to get Salt.
Who's Holtby's agent?
Yeah, you got me here. I can find out.
And people are still thinking Markstrom may end up in Calgary. It still seems to be a buzz that Calgary may be the leading team on Markstrom, and if that's the case,
well, how good for Markstrom would be $6 million a year when Holtby got 4.3. That's a big number.
You feel you're getting ripped off, but if he helps you win the cup or helps you get to the final, if he helps you win in Calgary, it's a good number.
David Kay is his agent.
David Kay.
You ever deal with David Kay?
No, I've never heard of him.
Well,
so it says maybe that the Oilers are out. The Oilers are out on Markstrom. So we shall see what happens here.
That was my bet. My bet was he was going to end up in Edmonton. So that leads towards your rumbling that it's a surprise team. Why don't you send that guy a note?
Unless it's in Calgary.
Is that surprising?
Yeah, so Chris Johnson just reported that is likely that he's heading to Calgary. Got a couple questions for you guys generally, as we'll bring Joe in here too, as he's been keeping up with all the Twitter news. Is there any team that has surprised you guys so far? Everybody knows I'm a big NBA guy. A lot of times there's an off season where there's one team that's willing to eat a bunch of contracts, take that bad salary and benefit themselves for the next like 5 years moving forward. Are there any teams in that category?
No, it's too early.
Moves?
I think it's too early to make that type of assessment right now, Jordan. We just haven't seen enough, I think, action so far, and everything that we've seen up until maybe Hopi to Vancouver has been minimal.
Wow.
Doug, any thoughts on that?
I wasn't listening to you. I've been sort of trying to follow.
No, just in terms of any surprises up until now, Mac, about
I'm a little surprised on Minnie with Talbot. I mean, if you're giving Talbot almost you gave him $11 million and Vancouver get Holtby for that price, that's a bit of a surprise to me. I mean, would you not to give Holtby? Maybe Holtby wouldn't go to Minnesota. Maybe he wanted to go to Vancouver. Maybe he likes the young group in Vancouver. Maybe he sees it as a better opportunity. But to me, the biggest surprise so far is Talbot getting the money he got and Holtby getting the money he got in the opposite direction there. It's a nice recovery by Jim Benning.
Perhaps we will see Calgary offer Markstrom $6 million, because that seems to be the number floating around, 6 times 6.
Yeah. And if that's the
case, what about that buyout? Like that seemed to catch everybody off guard, man.
Which one?
Tyler Johnson getting bought out and placed on waivers.
Placed on waivers, not bought out.
Placed on waivers, but that would not be for the purpose of a buyout.
So what's the purpose for that then?
It would be so you can get around a no trade clause, because there's 2 clauses, Jordan. There's a no move clause and a no trade. A no move, like Stamkos has, excludes teams from putting you on waivers.
So, like an example is this: let's say Columbus were interested in Tyler Johnson. And Tyler said, I will not go to Columbus, or I will not go to X team. So then you say to the team, okay, I'm putting Tyler on waivers this afternoon. If you want him, you pick him up on waivers. And Tyler has no choice but to go there. And, he can withhold his services, but he's under contract and he would be, suspended without pay. So it's just, as Nick said, it's a way around a no movement.
Thank you for that information. I feel like I'm learning a thing or two besides of, how to not listen to someone when they talk and stuff like that, Doug. Other than that, really appreciate
it's a trade-off. You're teaching Mac over-unders and puck lines. Two-way street, right?
Yeah, all the time, boys. That's the last question I really have, man. I'm overall just like super interested in free agency, the draft, waivers, buyout. That's the stuff that like keeps me going throughout the offseason. And I think over the past maybe 2 to 3 years, I started being more interested in that sort of stuff than the results of most games. So if anyone else is like that with me and Chad, be sure to check out our interview with Mike Liut, managing director of Octagon Hockey, coming out later today. He has some really good nuggets in there, Kip. What was your biggest takeaway from the conversation with him, just as a quick little preview? For me, it was just those like that cold attitude kind of where it's like, hey, some players aren't going to make it. Sometimes there's not room. There's only X amount of goalies, X amount of defenders. What were your thoughts moving forward on that?
Yeah, and I've known Mike Liut for a long time, and there's no sugarcoating with this guy. And Mac, you can speak of this a little bit. We had 217 drafted players. Like the percentage of these guys ever playing one game in the NHL, it's a really small number. And it's important for, whether you're watching it on TV, on Sportsnet or NBC, that these guys speak of every player as if they're going to be future Hall of Famers. Can't miss. I love this guy. Oh, the speed, the this, the that, oh, come on, right? He's just not going to play. There's just go and do the percentages. And I think, as Colby Armstrong said, Mac, outside of the second round, the player that has the best chance to play in the National Hockey League isn't from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th round. He's undrafted. He's me, right? That's what it is outside of the 2nd round. The next guy that has the best chance to play in the National Hockey League, he will be a free agent. He will be undrafted. So that's fascinating conversation with Mike Lear.
And that's what the NHL has tried to create. Listen, we used to go 12 rounds. Then we went
Why?
Yeah, but so then it went to 9 rounds. Now it's down to 7 rounds, and the reason is to create more free agency, to create more of this. So you could only draft 7 players instead of 12 rounds. I mean, in Detroit, they got Konstantinov in the 11th round, So yeah, it's about creating more free agents, and that's what it's done. But you can still go through the draft. You can go through the draft actually 3 years. You can still be drafted for 3 years. And lots of guys in this year's draft went through the draft last year and were drafted this year. So
are we better off? Are we better off lowering it to 5 rounds or 3 rounds? Wouldn't that be better for players to be?
Well, it's better. It's better
free
for
agents. It's better for the players.
Better for the players, but it's not better for the teams.
Yeah.
I mean, the teams want to own their rights for X amount of time. You get a junior, you've got his rights for a number of years. You got a kid through his 4 years of college. He can decide to be a free agent after his senior year, which puts pressure on teams. That's why they get kids to leave after their 2nd or 3rd year of college. So, but the draft has changed dramatically from, I remember 12 rounds, then I remember 7 rounds, and doesn't really matter. What matters? The players that are good enough find a way to make it.
I got a question from on my Twitter feed. Happily retired. He says, "What happens if no one claims Tyler Johnson off waivers?" Mac, that gets embarrassingly ugly, doesn't it?
What happens then is that he can go to the minors, and that's not good. If he clears waivers and they can't get a deal, then to me he's on the Tampa Bay Lightning, and you work through it to try to find him another place to play. I don't see Tampa Bay sending Tyler Johnson to the minors. I'd be shocked about that unless they have, no choice because of the cap. But I would see them trying to bide some time. They've got till January to find him another place to play.
No real talk or buzz on any offer sheets. Do you see one down the road at all?
Anyway, no, just seeing that there's another team with Calgary that's in the mix on Markstrom. So I don't know who it is, but there is another team besides Calgary that's in the mix on Markstrom. So I don't know. I don't know who that is.
I was going to ask you before you mentioned that about offer sheets. More likely with the cash crunch.
Why? Just a minute. Why is?
What are you reading for us? First of all,
I'm trying to figure this damn Markstrom thing out. But anyway, what about the situation with Dubois? Is there any reason? And we talked about them freeing up $11 million in Columbus. Is there some concern that Dubois might be in an offer sheet situation?
That's got to be in the back of Yarmo's mind.
So they've got their money cleared, so they're protected on Dubois, and they also have money to go after some top guys. So good work by Kekalainen to free up money to protect himself 2 ways there.
Also hearing no chance on a long-term deal for Pierre-Luc Dubois. They will go short-term.
Yeah.
Right? Some sort of bridge?
Yeah, that's what it looks like, a bridge deal. Yeah.
So we're hearing from Irfan Ghaffar. I'm sorry if I butchered that name, but
no, you're good.
believe a deal between Markstrom and the Flames is close to being finalized. That was 4 minutes ago. So looking like he might be headed up there.
Yeah.
Well, and the number should be at 6 million, Mac, or even north of it.
So did Edmonton not have the money to go to 6? It's an issue, Mac. I know
the AAV is an issue. The AAV would be an issue for Edmonton.
So obviously Kenny Holland knew he wasn't getting Markstrom and then signed Turris. Turris would have been an afterthought, would it not? Would the decision already been made not to take Markstrom so that he would then move on to Turris? But who's going to be the goaltender with the Edmonton Oilers this year?
Status quo.
Koskinen.
Status quo. Yeah.
And has Smith got term or is Smith done?
He's done.
Yeah. So it's Koskinen right now as their number one goaltender.
Yeah. They got to focus on getting something reasonable there then.
So who's reasonable out there right now with Holtby gone, Markstrom potentially gone, Talbot gone? I guess there's a slew of backups available. There's a bunch of guys that are good backups. So,
I don't know. Do you need a veteran? Ryan Miller, Schneider? No. Do they still have something to offer? Mentor?
Schneider would scare me. I mean, look, he's been so bad the last couple of years. I don't know that I'd go there.
Anton Forsberg, 1-year deal. What did he get, you think?
There's their backup. So there's their backup goaltender. That when you got Connor McDavid moving into what, year 6? Year 6 is it for Connor McDavid?
Yeah, 27 years old, Anton Forsberg. That's it.
That's scary.
That's it, Mac.
It's not good.
No, it's not. I don't know. It's a little disappointing, I'm sure, for Oiler fans.
Yeah. So it had to be the money. It had to be the money that they couldn't get it done.
Well, now Calgary seems to be the front runner for Markstrom, and the other team that I had mentioned for you that was your sleeper team, I really believe is Carolina.
It wouldn't surprise me that Carolina were the team that were in there bidding for him. But if you're Markstrom, where are you going?
That owner doesn't like to spend money. Doesn't like to spend money up front, money, signing bonus. I don't know. I'd be shocked if it was Carolina.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to make sense.
All right, so that's a good hour and a half into free agent frenzy here on Friday. Any last thoughts? Jordan, we good?
Only thing I'll add here is some rumors about Pietrangelo being courted by the Avs here in the great state of Colorado.
Yeah, that's not happening. That's not happening, buddy. They got this kid who is going to be the next Pietrangelo called Makar, and he's going to be very expensive next year. Okay, you can't go Pietrangelo.
The only thing I heard last night about Colorado is that there might be some interest in Taylor Hall in Colorado, and I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about it, but just for the Colorado fans, they may have kicked tires on Taylor Hall, but
would Taylor take a short-term deal and probably a cap hit a Mac of 6.5 on maybe 2 years, 3 years to try to win a cup with McKinnon?
Well, I would. I mean, if I was Taylor Hall and made the money he's made and wants to win desperately after what way he went through in Edmonton and
okay, so that's a big one right there.
I don't like that.
Mike Hoffman to Edmonton, and he gets a 5-year deal worth $30 million.
You see the disgust on Doug's face. You see
that
it. It's
is that was it $30 million for 5 years? Wow.
I mean, Hoffman can score. There's no denying it. Put him with Draisaitl, put him with Connor. I mean, he's going to score. He can score.
He can score, Mac.
I don't know. You know what? I hope he's got to be surrounded.
That's all he can do, Mac. That's it.
He's got to be surrounded as by a lot of winners. That one would scare me. So,
He is a pure shooter, Mac. There's nothing else. This guy can score from 30 feet out, and he is a bona fide 30-goal scorer.
no, he's 30 in the bank, but
I'm just shocked. I'm shocked. I'm shocked at $6 million.
I'm shocked at 7.65 for him and Turris versus getting the goalie. That's what I'm shocked about.
Let's give a big shout out to their representation for doing a really good job.
That is Octagon and Mike Liut, man. That guy is a genius for getting that money, because Toffoli could not get $5 million out of Vancouver. Couldn't get him close to $5 million.
Quick note here, guys. Our own Stephen Ellis coming in saying the Hoffman deal is fake account. So we got trolled here on Real Kyper.
Oh gosh,
apologies for that one.
Good.
I'll take the L on that one, boys. My bad.
Yeah, we feel better now.
Now you know why we thought it was a friggin' joke. So
God, you guys.
Attaboy, Steven. Way to step up, buddy.
Obviously, our support group still need a little training, Ken.
Mac, we should have warned these guys.
I was sick of that.
Do you know why? In 2008 or 2009, when we were probably 5, 6, 7 years into Twitter, I wasn't on it.
Yeah.
I wasn't on it. And when I started doing trade deadline shows and free agencies for Sportsnet, they would send up messages when I was off air or off camera to the host saying that I'm reporting that certain players were signed by the Montreal Canadiens for 5 years, and then comment on my Twitter, and I'm like, I didn't say that. I don't even have a Twitter account. And they're like, ugh. And that's why I named myself Real Kyper on Twitter, is because there was imposters out there.
Oh yeah, totally. But anyway, I'm glad, because I was sick to my stomach thinking that was active.
That's not happening. It's just $6 million now for goal scorers is not happening. The only one that has a chance to get there and even maybe possibly exceed it based on sheer stupidity, I think, would be Taylor Hall. But there isn't a sense that for Tyler Toffoli or Danilov or Hoffman that much more than $5 million is not happening, Max. That's why I was shocked at $6 million. I asked Jordan 3 times. $6 million? $6 million?
So two things here. First of all, Holtby does not have a no movement clause in his deal, which that does open up the door that he can go to Seattle, which is a great move, again, by Benning and Vancouver to make sure he doesn't have the no movement, so that he can be exposed and Demko will be protected. The other thing is, it seems, it's looking more and more like Calgary for Markstrom. So that's and you said that last night, Nick. You thought that was a possibility.
Well, it was a battle of Alberta, and
we're gonna have to phone and get Mark Spector in therapy after this one.
A lot of pressure on Tree Living, Mac, to get that team going again.
I know, and I'm telling you, Jimmy Benning with picking up Holtby, and look, Holtby's got to be better than he was last year. Is this a fresh start? But losing your number one MVP, the reason you made the playoffs, one of the big reasons you made the playoff was Markstrom. One of the big reasons you had the playoff run was Markstrom. Demko looks like he's ready to take a big step.
Yeah.
But you don't want him going to a number one rival. And Calgary and Edmonton and Vancouver are major rivals.
Well, I got to assume that the decisions aren't going to, it's not going to change a lot. The money's not going to change a lot, Mac. If we now see Holtby established in Vancouver, it's not like money's going to go up between now and tomorrow. Pretty much teams are locked in. Do you agree with that? That it's really up to now Markstrom to pick a team and commit?
Yeah, and look, yeah, for sure. And I think the only place the money's going to go is down after today. And the only reason Pietrangelo isn't signed is either he's trying to make a decision between St. Louis and Vegas, or they're biding some time so it doesn't look so obvious in Vegas that there was tampering.
How can Pietrangelo go from an 8-year deal to a 7-year deal? Because the last thing that St. Louis ever wanted was the AAV to go up. They were just trying to find ways to keep it down. I don't understand how he could take a 7-year deal now in St. Louis.
No, but he can take a 7-year deal in Vegas and get no state tax.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like a Florida with no state tax, and his 8.5. If he gets 8 to 8.5 in Vegas, it's really equivalent to almost 9 basically. So it makes up for it.
Well, no. That's a given that a team like Vegas would take him with open arms and offer him on the 7-year. I just don't see how St. Louis could ever revisit this thing again.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, look, they made look, for them to offer 8 times 8, $64 million to keep him. I thought it was an unbelievable offer. I mean, we kept hearing last night he could still end up in St. Louis. Vegas free up the money, then it looks like Vegas are going to be the place. So is there any other suitors besides these two teams? I can't believe it.
Yeah, that's what we figured. We figured, no question that with Edmonton out, Vancouver out, they get their guy. Now we just wait for the details. You got to assume, Mac. It'll be interesting to see how far they went with term, if they needed to go the full 7 or not. Yeah. And again, we're talking about a 30-year-old guy. You assume that there's a lot of upside here. There's not a lot of wear and tear on him, but he needed to go through a tremendous process to get himself to be the goaltender that I think Florida thought that they had when they first drafted him. Right, Mac?
Yeah, first pick of the second round. I mean, Markstrom was an unbelievable prospect coming out of junior. Unbelievable. First pick of the second round, high for a goaltender in those days. They thought he was going to be a franchise goaltender, and it took how many years? And now he looks like a franchise goaltender right now. This is, to me, if Calgary get it done, and they do, looks like that's where he's going. This is a good signing for them. And what happens to Gaudreau now down the road? What other moves can they make? They still have to fix their back end. Brody looks like he's out. They have a number of free agents on their back end. They still have some work to do to fix the back end, and money's going to be real tight there unless they unload a Gaudreau as the summer progresses. And that won't be easy.
Yeah. Well, you watch now the small domino effect now, and we've got Cam Talbot in Minnesota, Holtby in Vancouver. We got Markstrom in Calgary. We will now probably see a guy like Hudobin go back to Dallas and go, okay, what was that offer again? Because that's generally what happens, Mac.
Well, we thought it was a good chance. Look, there's no doubt there was lots of conversation Hudobin to Vancouver. There's no doubt there was a lot of conversation. And now when things don't work out and you have to go back, you know what?
Yeah.
I remember, anyway, yeah.
It'll be fine. They got their prospect there, that Ottinger, who got a little bit of experience in the bubble when Hudobin ran out of gas on a couple occasions. So I don't see much more than a 2-year deal for Hudobin back in Dallas.
No, and look, it's going to be a lot tougher. You got to get, Bishop, seriously. Would Dallas, with Bishop on his game, would Bishop have been any better than Hudobin in the playoffs? Probably not. The way Hudobin played, he was spectacular at times in that net, flopping and flipping and battling, and his players playing for him. So you know what? Dallas will be a little different look next year with Corey Perry. Where does he go to? Where do some of these other guys end up? So
Yeah,
it'll be fun to watch.
well, and we'll watch throughout the weekend. Pietrangelo, Krug, Hall, Hoffman, Danilov, they're still out there. Mac, second tier. Shattenkirk, did he do enough to warrant a ton of interest based on his Stanley Cup run with Tampa Bay? Brody, does he resign in Calgary? Still lots of questions out there. We got some good hockey players out there. Christopher Tanev, unfortunately, doesn't appear like Vancouver even talked to him back, which kind of surprises me because he was such a good mentor for Hughes.
Yeah. So does Tanf end up in Toronto? I mean, is he the guy that slides into the right side shot? I mean, we know that there's still some teams desperate for right-hand defensemen around the league. So where does Tanf end up? You know, he was at 4.5, 4.7 in that range and won at 6. There was no way the conversation was even going close to that in Vancouver. They knew they couldn't pay him. They wanted him. They really would have liked to have kept Tanf, but not at those numbers. And now we'll see where he ends up. Toronto could be a possible destination, but there's lots of teams looking for right-hand defensemen.
Yeah, a ton. They're at a premium.
Yeah.
Okay, did I yell tuckered out? That's a good almost
God.
2 hours, Mac, that we worked you.
What the hell is this?
There's no bonus.
Joke. This is a joke.
It's
I need to talk to Chris at Line Movement saying, what the hell's going on? I mean, I signed my deal. It's for minimal work, and now you're working.
Yeah, please file a tampering complaint whenever you get a chance. My email, I'm not going to put it out on air, but you know what it is. We'll get that over to HR as soon as
What the hell
possible.
is that name? That's our boss, Chris somebody.
Should we be doxing him on air, Joe? What are your thoughts on this? I don't know if
I think if Doug's gonna submit a complaint, can you put my name on that one as well, as I'm producing a show, doing social media, trying to help Jordan? I would love it. Just add my name to the end of yours. I think that'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever the case is, whatever the case is,
it better be a case of Bud Light. I need it right now.
this is nowhere near as painful as round 2 to round 7 for almost 8 hours.
That was torture. Sam with Sportsnet. Don't give me 6 minutes on that 7th round pick. I don't need it. I don't need it.
Sam knew more about that 7th pick, the 7th round
and I
pick,
knew about the first rounders.
than his family knew about that kid.
Guys, one more here before we get out of here.
Kincaid to the Rangers.
That one, but also Ottawa Senators closing in on multi-year deal with goalie Matt Murray. What do you guys think about that one?
I'm curious to see whether or not they can buy unrestricted years with Matt Murray and what kind of commitment is. And Mac, you know, we talked about Declare a little bit in Ottawa, but here's the bigger. And they had a terrific week with all their draft choices and all these new prospects coming up. And in a perfect world, if you were to take over any team, you'd be most excited about the Ottawa Senators. But then there's that X factor. Where's the ownership? Where's the long-term security? Like, is Eugene Melnyk committed now for this team to really win a Stanley Cup? That's why we're going to be real interested to see if Matt Murray signs, for how much and how many years. Because if you want to buy unrestricted free years off of Matt Murray, you're talking about north of $6 million, Mac.
So now you're sitting there and you know what you're going to have to pay Murray probably when you make the trade. And now you're sitting there seeing what Holtby got, and we don't know what Markstrom's getting or what he's going to get. But Murray right now is going to make a commitment to play for a team that may not be very good still because they're so young. So Matt Murray is going to sign in Ottawa and will sign a decent deal or a good deal or a very good deal. And he had his challenges playing for the Pittsburgh Penguins this year, which was a pretty good team. He had a very average year. So now he's going to be with a team that doesn't play great defensively.
Well,
it's a bit of a gamble for Matt Murray here, but Ottawa, I like what Ottawa did. I like the fact they picked him up. I like it.
I think he's a good Mac. We're only talking about a couple guys in history of the game that've been able to start their careers like Matt Murray, and the other one is Ken Dryden. So there's something there for sure. Whether or not
it looks like Matt Murray gets $25 million for 4 years. So you're right, a little over $6 million. 4 years, $25 million, and Hudobin signs for 3 years at 3.5 in Dallas.
See, so, I like that. I like that, and I think it's for Ottawa. For Ottawa, that's a great commitment. To Ottawa Senator fans, that's a good message from Eugene Melnyk.
No, I like it. I think there's two good signings there, and Matt Murray is making a big commitment because his career now is in the hands of Pierre Dorion and DJ Smith, and how much they can improve this team fast. And so, he'll be a part of that. And Hudobin goes back to Dallas at 3.5.
Now, Chicago had a small window to talk to Matt Murray before the trade to Ottawa, and Stan Bowman, I don't think came much over $4.5 million. So good on Matt Murray for holding out and getting that type of contract. So we'll see where it puts him. Puts him right up there with Markstrom's number, I'm sure, at 6. I'd be shocked if now Markstrom doesn't end up with $6 million out of Calgary. It's got to be 6.5, Mac.
Yep. So, it's we're still waiting on Taylor Hall and Pietrangelo, but that's really the big fish. So some good contracts.
Yeah. All right.
Big boys still got some decent money.
So not bad. I mean, we didn't land the big fish in Pietrangelo or Krug or Hull, but some good action. Not bad for an hour and a half in a pandemic. With
now we're in 48 minutes.
With no light at the end of the tunnel for when next season starts.
Yeah. Good luck finding me the next while.
Oh no, I'm gonna have you on speed dial, buddy. We're gonna have you on speed dial. We're going live.
Reporting from the mountains of Utah.
We're going live to the RV. Hey.
That sounds good to me.
All right. Wow. Okay.
By the way, you can catch me at Niagara-on-the-Lake for 2 days, 2 nights next week. I'll be at Niagara-on-the-Lake at a winery there, sipping wine and enjoying the good life. And you'll see, if you see a beige and dark brown RV, drop over and I'll have a glass of wine. You can have a glass of wine with me in Niagara-on-the-Lake.
All right. Any last signings? Did anybody see?
That's all we got. The last one that came through was Hudobin, but I think that's a great place to close up the show for the day.
Hudobin, what did Hudobin get? 3 years?
He got 3 years, 3.5 mil.
3.5 mil. Yeah, listen, it's smart for him to go back and revisit, right?
Big time.
Okay. All right, Mac.
Maybe he had to do it on his hands and knees.
Great job, Mac.
Thanks. It was a blast.
We're going to send you something. We're going to send you a T-shirt or a hat for
I'd like to get one
for the extra hour.
I'd like to get one of Joe's straight peak hats. I don't have, I've got mine have a little tilt in them. I like his straight peak look now, and I'll get a skateboard to go with it.
All right.
I think that would be lit, Sam. I think that would be lit for all the kids out there.
Okay, and for all of you,
some band sneakers.
For all of you watching, one last smash the love button for Mac, please.
Hey, you were on today, Kippy. You had most of these scoops last night.
Oh yeah, we're good. We're good. Okay, go get some rest for your RV trip, okay?
Take care, bud.
Doug Maclean, Summerside PEI. I hope everybody had a good hour and a half, whatever we took you to. We all know that everybody's by their phones, their laptops. Thank you so much for making time for us. Today was a lot of fun, live streaming free agency. A lot more news will come in throughout the weekend when we feel like we want to come back and maybe talk about a few things. We'll certainly let you know. For all of you still watching and haven't subscribed, please do so. And we'll see you soon on the Real Kyper at Noon show. Thanks everybody for joining.